And let's look briefly at the running mates on both of these tickets. We saw this week J.D. Vance, former President Trump's running mate, make some comments about postmenopausal women and their role in society and towards childcare. I don't know if you saw those comments, Nicole, but what's your sense of how well this ticket understands on the Republican side the issues of student parents?
Here's what I will say that I believe deeply is, and I kind of touched on this earlier, that the authenticity and the lived experience and the proximity to the populations that are most impacted is so critical and so important. And I say that because as we're looking at the prospect of having a Black woman leading this country for the first time in U.S. history, that is exciting. That is an opportunity and a moment for us to have authentic leadership, to have someone who is proximate to the people who are most impacted by these issues. And that is exciting for this country. Our hope, and my hope, is that this country puts its trust in a Black woman and in her leadership to be able to really get us to a place where we're authentically serving those who are most impacted by the issues that we face: housing insecurity, food insecurity, women's health issues, childcare, all of those things. This is an opportunity for us to have that in the White House at the helm for the first time, and that's exciting.
And of course, Governor Walz was a high school teacher. You mentioned the Minnesota assistance for student parents. Can you talk a little bit more about his role in getting that forward? And also, I don't know, were there copycat states? Was there a follow-on effect from anything that he did in Minnesota?
Well, I think you touched on it. You know, someone who has been in the classroom, who has been an educator, who has worked so closely with young people, and who has had a history of race and gender protections. That is exciting. That is a good thing for student parents. As I mentioned, this population is disproportionately students of color, disproportionately low income. They are feeling so many of the barriers that have historically been put in place when it comes to their ability to get through high school and to college. And so to have somebody who has worked so closely with young people is really wonderful, and who has a real concern for, marginalized populations. The work that Governor Walz has done around student parents has been really important. It has set a precedent. We're seeing other states also doing this work. We have seen states passing legislation that requires colleges and universities to collect the parenting status of their students for the first time. So whenever there are initiatives that a governor stands up in his state, his or her state or their state, it does create a domino effect. People are looking to that to see what do they need to do in their own state. But we've seen just a real deep concern for students that have been allowed to fall through the cracks, even free lunch programs. Governor Walz has been a big proponent of that in the state of Minnesota. And so those kinds of initiatives matter. Those kinds of initiatives are important when it comes to families and their economic mobility, and particularly mothers and fathers who want to go to college.